Attention! The following video may contain fun, humor, profanity, personal opinions, political incorrectness, and so on. If you are under the age of 18 or are easily offended by something as simple as gendered words, then I suggest you turn this video off and watch something more suited to you. Something like Sesame Street. Don't say I didn't warn you.
How dare you!
G'day guys, and welcome back to the channel. So, in this video, it's going to be kind of a series of videos. This will be the first one, and as you've no doubt figured out from the title, I am turning this Team Associated B5M into a no prep drag car. Took me a bit of a while to figure of a title and or like a working title for a series of videos, and so yeah, it's going to be a bit of a fun project for me. I've been seeing quite a few videos on YouTube and on the internet, hobby shops. This no prep drag racing is pretty popular, so I thought to myself, I've got a spare chassis just laying around, see what I can do with it. And this B5M isn't the B5M that I did a build series on a number of years ago. This in fact was actually a spare that I bought off a mate for about $50. And I had intentions of having it as a spare runner for when my nephew would come and visit, but he kind of liked my old B4 a little bit better. It's a little bit easier to drive, so this has just been sitting in a drawer for a couple of years, not going anywhere. And I just thought to myself, well, it's sitting around, it's doing nothing, might as well have a bit of fun. So it's a lot of these no prep drag cars are based on buggies, but they quite often use a truck chassis. But I haven't got a body for it yet. It's coming, but it hasn't arrived. I have the new Proline Ford Pinto drag shell coming for it, and I'm hoping that it'll turn up in the making while I'm filming this video. But the reason why I chose the Ford Pinto body is that it's actually meant to suit a buggy wheelbase, so I don't have to buy say for instance, this is a B5M. I wouldn't need to buy a T5M chassis plate to suit. So in theory, it should just go straight on. So now, while it's in my head and I'm going to say it right now, I am a complete noob when it comes to this no prep drag stuff. I'm not going to say I have no clue as to what I'm doing. I've got a rough idea, and I've been doing a little bit of research on the internet, but this is a completely new thing for me, and it's really mainly just to have a bit of fun with, a bit of a project while I'm not doing other things, whether it be planes or racing cars and things like that. Just something to have a bit of fun with. Where I live, there is no drag racing at all, so this would be something I'd have to take to Sydney with me. So this buggy here is a B5M. It's got a few little hop-up options on it already. Looks like these are some shell rear hubs. It's got a brass hinge pin holder. It's got a few aluminium front hinge holder up here. It has front wing mount for it. And at the back we've got some Exotec wing mounts. So it's got a few little hop-ups here and there, but it's virtually stock. So what I'm going to do is I've got a few things for it already. So when it comes to electronics for it, I'm going to be using my Tecan RS Pro. This is okay. I understand, guys, that this is a fairly old ESC. It is a no limit ESC, but with the B5M, the space for electronics is quite limited. So I'll be using my Tecan RS Pro for the time being. For the motor, at the moment, I've got a old Novak Velocity 5.5 turn. For steering, I've got for it a Spectrum high voltage servo. It's not a high speed or high torque, but it is metal geared and it is a high voltage servo. It's not, like I said, it's not fast speed or anything like that. And that's what I've got so far for the electronics. I will be using my Hi-Tech Lynx 4S for controlling it. And I've got a few little things for it. I have, just for a bit of bling, I've got a Trinity motor plate. I have also, for wheels and tyres, I've got Proline. I had to open up the packet earlier on just to have a check. I've got the Proline Panoma drag spec tyres, or wheels. It says for a slash, but it'll work with the B5M. And the tyres, I've got the Proline Hoosier drag tyres. So this is what I'll be using. Now, just to be on record, guys, this will be an ongoing project. I still have a few parts coming for it. Later on I may put a different speed controller in. I will definitely put a different motor in, but for the time being, this is what I have with regards to ESC and motor. I will update them as I go. Now, being that this is a buggy, I'm going to have to 3D print some body mounts for this. Obviously, you know, with the B5M, it has a buggy shell, so obviously I'll have to 3D print something. So I'll have to design something up, and I'm thinking of also 3D printing a wheelie bar for the back. So what I've got to do first, before I get into putting, I can put electronics in and so forth, but what I'm going to have to do first is give this a bit of a service, and then we'll come back and we'll continue, guys. Alright guys, so in the middle of giving the car a bit of a service, I'm in the middle of just letting the just drain the old shock oil and just letting the old stuff drain out onto this bit of shop towel here. What I've decided to do too is completely rebuild the transmission. It struck me as I was looking over some things. This has predominantly been raced in stock, which was 17.5 turn, and this is going to be having a fair bit of power going through it. I've also, so it's also got the pit spur gear, which for stock, which was 69 tooth. and going to be needing a different spur. So what I'm going to do is do a quick time lapse of the disassembly and rebuild, and we'll have a bit of an inspection of the ball diff plates and everything. But yeah, definitely time for a rebuild and service. Alright guys, so just did a full rebuild. Obviously, the transmission isn't complete yet. I've still got to put the other half on and the motor plate. But gave it a full clean and rebuild. It wasn't too bad, although the diff grease was black. So I mean, I bought this off a friend and I did nothing with it. It's just been sitting, but it's got a few little hop up parts. It looks like a Avid Racing lightweight gear here. This is definitely not the same kind of gear as in my other B5M, although I can't remember what it looks like because I haven't ran it in a while. But it's definitely not the original bearings too. There's some look like Avid Racing bearings, so it's got a few little upgrades in it. So what I'm going to do now, guys, is put this all back together and we'll continue on. Alright guys, so I have the transmission reinstalled. I have the Trinity motor plate on and have now got a 81 tooth spur gear. Interesting thing, with this original motor plate here, this isn't the original one. It must be like a factory team one or something. If you look closely here, the motor plate screws where they screw into the transmission, they are countersunk. When I put the Trinity one on, the holes that mount it to the actual transmission housing were not countersunk, so I got some ordinary button head screws to mount it on. The issue was the plate, the back plate that presses up against the first slipper clutch pad was actually rubbing on the screws. So what I've had to do, you probably can't tell because of the light. So if I get my trusty torch, and you can see there how the screws are quite close to the plate there. So I've had to make a little spacer that goes in that just pushes it out a little bit. So that's what I've gotten to so far here. I've also put in the servo for steering, and it would appear that there's the wrong size ball in there. It's got small balls, so I'll have to remedy that shortly. What I've also done is I've 3D printed some mounts for the body posts. They should be here in the next day or so. It should hopefully be included in this video. The front mount here, what I've done is I've utilized the front wing mount for it to sit on. I may even, depending on the body post that I use will determine whether or not I make another one that's a bit lower. The rear one here, had a bit of a brainstorm. The Exotec wing mounts, as you can see, I've just flipped these upside down, and I've made up a simple mount here for the body posts when they arrive. For those wondering, I've printed the front and rear body post mounts out of PETG. You could use PLA if you wanted. PETG is a little bit more durable, and ABS plastic is a pain in the butt, so I just chose PETG, and it's just black. You can get it in different colors if you want, but just simple black will do. So at the moment, that's what I've done so far. So what I'm about to do now, in between video clips I've just filmed, I've been looking at a few other videos online. So what I'm going to do now is redo the shocks. I have got some old fuel tubing here that I have cut into equal lengths, and they will be internal limiters to limit the travel of the shock. And what I'll do now is I will switch to time lapse, and we will redo the shocks. Alright guys, so got the shocks installed again, and as you can see from the front here how the front arms go up a little bit. That's due to the shock limiters, or the travel limiters I put inside the shocks. I guess, as I said, it's just some fuel tubing. That's just all I used, and it's not a lot. Like I said, guys, this I'm learning this as I go along, and what's next to do is pretty much put the electronics in and glue up the tires and mount them, and I am hoping that the body turns up. I checked the tracking and it should be here in the next day or so. So what I'm going to do again is go to a time lapse. While it's in my head, I've decided I'm not going to use the dust cover for the motor. I mean, dust cover is really for off-road applications, and I want everyone to see the bling. Nah, but it's really just the dust cover is for off-road applications, and obviously this is going to be for drag racing now. So yes, I'm not going to use the dust cover. So anyway, let's get the electronics and the tires mounted. Okay guys, so I know I said I was going to do a time lapse, but I'm a dope and had it on the wrong setting. I was trying to do it, change the settings while on the back of the screen of this camera from the front, and not realizing I was going the wrong way, and yeah, hit photo instead of time lapse. So here is the current stage of the B5M. Got the tires mounted, got the electronics in, and I I did a bit of a quick test, just got it programmed just to get the servo endpoints ready, recalibrate the speed controller and so forth. And I was doing a doing a diff break-in because it's ball diff. Yeah, this thing's got some power. I'm actually having second thoughts of doing some runs with this 5.5 turn. I've got a 7.5 turn I might put in just to start off with, so I don't end up crashing this thing into 11 million pieces. So yeah, I might take this 5.5 turn out and put a 7.5 turn in just to start off with. It's like I said, I'm only doing this for a bit of fun, and I'm a complete noob at this, so I don't want to wreck it straight away. What I have done also is the back here. I have 3D printed some shock tower extensions. A particular YouTuber, I was having a look at his videos, and if you haven't heard of his channel, it is, give me a quick second again, I'll just have a quick look. His channel is Full Throttle RC, and yeah, he's got a lot of this no prep drag stuff on his channel. He's really good, so I'll leave a link in the description for you to go have a look at his channel. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I haven't actually copied what he's done, but with a bit of inspiration, just 3D printed these extensions to have the the rear shocks here upright. And yeah, so what I do have coming, I've got, because these are the standard spring length rear springs, I have some short front springs coming. They're TLR springs, so they'll be coming. And so because as you can see here, the rear end is up, we want it a bit down, but yeah, so I've got some front TLR springs coming. So, and the body hasn't arrived, and the posts haven't arrived yet. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to leave this here. So this will be part 1 of the conversion. Hopefully in part 2 I will have the body and the body posts here. And what I'm going to do for part 2 as well is I'm going to see if I can 3D print a wheelie bar for the back here. I might see if I can have it integrated so it attaches to here and to the bottom of the chassis here, so it will come out. I'll have to brainstorm that. So if I hope you like these videos, guys, and if you got any questions, I'll try my best to answer them. Like I said, this no prep stuff is completely foreign to me. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video, guys, and stay tuned for part 2, where we will continue with the no prep conversion. And hopefully part 2, maybe part 3, we might try a few runs. Cheers, guys.